Hi everyone. Today my review will be about the XGIMI Elfin projector. It's not a very new product. I couldn't find time earlier to test it, but don't run away. You should get more information from my review than most others on YouTube. I review projectors on 10 objective criteria and explain the results in a simple way to help you choose the right one for you. Before starting, a quick introduction. I don't test products for a living and nobody pays me for doing this. Testing a projector takes around 20 hours of my time, so I would be very grateful if you could buy anything with my links in the description. It is the only revenue I get for my work and it helps buying new products. And if you like my tests, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, enough of that, let's get started. The XGIMI Elfin is a good-looking portable projector that has no battery. You always need power to make it work. It has a moderate-sized lens at the front and the projected image is generated by a DMD 0.33 DLP chip and a LED light. It's the same as the Xiaomi Mi Smart Compact, which I have also tested. Spoiler alert! This thing is capable of producing nice images. The little dots on the right side are not just there for the design. They are holes where air can exit the projector. The little black sensor here is used to set the focus. It's an area where XGIMI is really good at. The focus is fast and the image is sharp. You don't need to do anything. Let's look at the back side. The amount of connectors is rather limited, but you can't expect more from such a small projector. There is an HDMI port, a USB 2.0 port, a power connector and a headset output. Those grids are designed to evacuate the heat because even if this projector is small, it needs to dissipate heat from the LED light. You can feel the warmth coming out of it when it's running, but no worries, you won't get burned. The cooling system works quite well. It doesn't make a lot of noise even when the projector is very busy. On the left side we only have the power button. Let's have a look at the bottom now. The bottom has a black circular shaped grid from which the sound will be emitted. Again, spoiler alert, sound is okay for this type of projector, but it's a bit weak for a full-blown home theater setup. There is a standard screw in the middle to attach the projector to a tripod. There is no tripod in the package, but any tripod should be okay as the projector is very light. It weighs only 984 grams, which is less than a DSLR camera. The remote control is made of plastic. It doesn't feel premium, but the build quality is okay. It is powered by 2 AAA batteries which are not included in the package. The layout is more or less the same as for other XGIMI projectors. You have a power button, then a settings button, a Google Assistant button, a source button and another button for settings. The big circle in the middle allows you to navigate in 4 directions. You just need to click in the middle to confirm your choice. Below that circle you have a back button, a go back home button and finally a big button for the volume. There is a small, almost hidden switch at the bottom of the remote. It is set by default on volume, but you can set it on focus. In the unlikely event that your picture goes out of sharpness, you can adjust the sharpness manually by switching to focus, and then use the volume buttons to adapt the sharpness. The remote is a Bluetooth remote, which means that you don't need to point the projector to make it work. The good thing about this remote is that all features are clearly separated, so even if you are in complete darkness, you should be able to find your way to the right feature. The XGIMI Elfin has a throw ratio of 1.2, which means that for each meter between the projector and the screen you will increase the image width by 80 centimeters. 1 meter away from the screen generates an image of about 80 centimeters by 45 centimeters. If you want to know how big your picture will be, you just need to multiply those figures with the chosen distance. The throw ratio is good, but don't forget that brightness decreases with the square of the distance. If you move the projector 2 meters further, the brightness will decrease with a factor 4, and with a portable projector, you shouldn't neglect this. If you're in complete darkness, I would recommend you to keep the projector with 2m20 of the screen. Beyond that limit, the image will start being too dark. The XGIMI Elfin is designed to be used from a bottom position because the bottom of the lens corresponds to the bottom of the image. If you want to use it closer to the ceiling, you will need to flip it. The XGIMI automatically detects the flipping and will flip the image automatically. You can also adjust the screen size to your needs by using keystone correction. The projector has automatic keystone correction. It works fine, but if you want to fine-tune the image to adapt it to your needs, you can do it manually, but be careful, playing with Keystone is not something I recommend. Why? Well, Keystone is software driven, which means that no matter what you do, the projector will still emit light on a full scale. If you play too much with Keystone, you will see a big gray border all around your image and you will lose some precious pixels. If you can, you should put the projector in a straight line. Small Keystone corrections are okay, but I often get comments about users complaining about those gray borders I mentioned because they don't realize that Keystone does not affect the light coming out of the projector. It's a very common thing among all projectors with Keystone. It's not something specific to this projector. XGIMI has done a great job in putting all those corrections features in their projectors. It's definitely an asset, but like I said, it's not like magic, it has consequences. Let's now talk about the most important part of this review: image quality. Image quality is not a subjective thing. It can actually be measured, and that's what I'm going to show you. I measure color accuracy, contrast and brightness. We'll also have a look at sharpness and the ability to compensate for fast-moving images. Then finally, I'll show you some video samples in HDR10 and HLG to see how it performs with those formats. Let's start with colors. I'll show you the available pre-configured settings one by one so that you can see the effect they have on the picture. Color accuracy is measured with something called delta E. It indicates how far a color is from its reference. A delta E above 3 indicates a variation that can be noticed by the human eye. TV or smartphone screens in all price ranges are rather good at getting delta E below 3, but for projectors it's a different story. I have measured color accuracy and contrast for all the available configurations. As I don't want you to fall asleep with all those figures, you can find all the detailed results on my blog. I will only give you my conclusion in this video. The best pre-configured settings are with the office mode, where you get a delta E of around 6 but at the expense of contrast, which falls to 350 to 1. A delta E of 6 is more or less in the average of what I have seen in this price range. If you want more contrast, color accuracy will decrease. You can select the game mode. It has a 500 to 1 contrast but produces a much colder bluish image. The contrast is rather weak, but it's the same for all DLP chips with a LED source. Projectors like the XGIMI Horizon have the same problem even if it's twice the price. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It means that you will lose details in dark scenes. If you want higher contrast, you need to go for a lamp-based projector or a laser one, but they are usually much more expensive. If you want maximum contrast but don't care too much about color accuracy, use the football mode that has a 500 to 1 contrast ratio. What about sharpness? Sharpness is good. XGIMI is usually good with sharpness, but sometimes they push it too hard and pictures don't look natural anymore. It's again the case with this projector. I recommend you to decrease the sharpness a little. This is what I have done here, and in this picture you can now clearly see the separation between the thin lines. Sharpness in the center is excellent, but it decreases slightly in the corner, but not enough to be really visible when you watch a movie. The XGIMI Elfin has a brightness of 800 ANSI lumens in theory, and for such a small projector that's a good performance. In reality, you won't be able to use those 800 lumens unless you want to use the projector as a big spotlight. The brightness announced by the manufacturers is a technical brightness. This means that the projector is in principle capable of emitting this quantity of light, but in practice the use of this brightness strongly degrades the quality of the image. I measured just under 800 lumens in performance mode, but the color accuracy is really bad with this type of configuration. Luckily, you can use one of the proposed configurations to improve the colors, but this will be at the expense of the brightness. With the office mode, I get a brightness between 550 and 600 lumens, and with this level of brightness, you will have to use this projector in a dark room. I often get the question about using a projector in broad daylight. Let me show you what it means for this projector. I will use 2 images to illustrate the consequence of using the projector with another light source. Here is an image taken with the light on in the projection room. The room is lit by a white LED lamp which emits a lower brightness than daylight, even in cloudy weather. If you compare this image with the next one, you will already see the difference in the dark areas. The black becomes grayish and the contrast too weak. The best use case for this projector is to use it in perfect darkness. What about motion compensation? This projector has a frequency of 60 Hz, which means 60 images per second, while most of the movies are recorded in 24 images per second. Without any compensation, fast-moving images will stutter. This projector has 3 levels of motion compensation, which decreases the stutter for fast-moving images. You can see here at the top that the white rectangle stutters without motion compensation, while the movement becomes smooth when compensation is turned on. It's a good thing, but when you use the maximum compensation level, you may have the feeling that something is odd with the picture. It's called the soap opera effect, and some people don't like that at all. Up to you to find your tolerance level and set the motion compensation accordingly. Let's now have a look at what the projector can do with HLG and HDR10. I have a couple video samples from TV manufacturers that were encoded with those formats. Let's see how it looks like with this projector. I'll start with HLG and then move to HDR10. I will switch HDR on and off to show you the difference in different scenes. HDR has an impact on colors and brightness. The colors are often more saturated and maybe sometimes too saturated to be natural, but you can play around with image settings to reduce saturation. Brightness is well managed. I had encountered brightness problems with HDR on other projectors. It's not the case with the Elfin. HDR is not a mandatory feature, but as more and more content is produced in HDR, it's always good to have a projector that can manage those formats. In some cases, it can really improve the picture, going from a dull to a vivid image. The effect on this type of demo video is often exaggerated. It usually looks better on movies. Power consumption is a rising concern among consumers because sometimes they can be very power hungry, even more than a TV sometimes. This projector is not going to lead you to bankruptcy or force you to donate a kidney to pay your electricity bills. The consumption level depends on the brightness mode used, where, for example, the performance mode will push the consumption towards 60 watts and the standard mode will reduce it towards 50 watts. It's a really power-efficient projector with which you can get a bigger picture than a TV while using less power than a TV. The Elfin emits an audible ventilation noise. I measured about 47 decibels next to the projector, and at 1 meter the noise is almost no longer audible. The noise will vary depending on the brightness mode used. If you use the performance mode, the projector will make a lot more noise and your image will not look good, so I don't advise you to use this mode. You could think that you can use any projector for gaming, but believe me, it's not the case. Why? Well, simply because there is something called input lag that can make your gaming experience miserable. It is basically a lag between what you do on your gamepad and how much time it takes to be visible on the projector. You need an input lag below 30 milliseconds to be able to play fast-paced games. To test the gaming mode of this projector, I have used Shadowrunner, first because the game is free, but also because it is a game which requires quick reactions where input lag might become a problem. The XGIMI Elfin has a game mode with an additional boost mode that reduces input lag to an unnoticeable level. I didn't experience any latency when playing Shadowrunner, and the image quality combined with reduced input lag makes this projector a good alternative to dedicated gaming projectors. To be perfect, this projector should have been able to go beyond 60 Hz, but this type of projector is usually more expensive, like for example the Xiaomi V10, which I have also tested.
Air ducts lead to another sector. God, your software is a mess. I've rebooted your acceleration module. You should be able to squeeze through that turbine. Use acceleration while in the air.
XGIMI has built a good reputation for sound quality. They usually use speakers from Harman Kardon, and projectors like the XGIMI Horizon, for example, produce a really good sound. The sound of this projector is unfortunately not comparable to what you can get with a bigger projector. You need to keep in mind that it is a portable projector. It's definitely not bad, but it's not designed to produce a powerful sound. It lacks power, or at least the ability to bring quality audio to a higher volume. You miss some depth in lower frequencies and get distortion at high volume. In the next video you'll be able to hear how it sounds like. I have used free soundtracks to avoid being blocked by YouTube for copyright infringement. I have produced a separate video with real songs played from Spotify. This video has probably been demonetized, but you should still be able to play it.
That's good.
The XGIMI Elfin runs on a native Android TV version, which means that you will be able to use most of the apps available in the Play Store and enjoy a wide variety of content without using a separate solution like a TV stick or Apple TV box. The Android TV UI is perfectly designed to be operated with a remote control. It's fast, it's easy to use, and it will bring up personalized content on your home screen. The only drawback or weakness of this Android TV version is that Netflix doesn't work on this projector, at least at the time I made this video. It's a recurring issue with XGIMI projectors. They are struggling to get the certification to run natively Netflix on their projectors. It's probably more a financial discussion between Netflix and XGIMI, because Netflix works on their projectors if you install it from outside the Play Store. You can either sideload the app or use a container app like Desktop Manager to go around this restriction. It's now time to come to a conclusion. I know the video is very long, but it should contain all you need to know, and you can jump from one section to another if needed. If you still have questions, let me know in the comments. So, what do I think about the XGIMI Elfin? My first projector was an XGIMI. That was a couple of years ago, and XGIMI has evolved from a totally unknown brand to a leading brand with more than 4 million projectors sold worldwide. The XGIMI Elfin is once again a confirmation that XGIMI is capable of producing good projectors in all price ranges. Of course, you need to keep in mind that it is a portable projector and it has consequences on image quality, brightness or contrast, but in this category, the Elfin is really good. Why should you buy it? If you're looking for a portable projector and you can get this projector around 500 to 600 euros, you'll get bang for your bucks. It has a nice image, motion compensation, good sharpness, low input lag, low power consumption, good throw ratio. It's running under Android TV and it's small enough to carry around. Why shouldn't you buy it? This projector doesn't have major flaws, but it's designed for mobility, so if you're looking for a home theater projector you're never going to move, you should consider other products like perhaps the BenQ TH575 that I also tested. Other reasons for not buying it would be the low contrast, the not so immersive sound, and Netflix not working natively. What would be a worthy alternative? I think the Xiaomi S5 would be a good candidate. It has more brightness, better contrast, but doesn't support apps like the XGIMI. That's all for now. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helped you in your choice. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to use my links if you want to purchase the projector. Small note before leaving. I have been using Google Cloud Text-to-Speech to be able to produce videos in other languages. Let me know what you think about it. See you soon for another test.